Hey everyone, JT from Ebike Escape here, and in today's video, we're gonna take a look at an e-bike that not only doubles the amount of fun you can have, but also doubles the motors, battery performance, and suspension, Ariel Rider Grizzly. So let's get into it. Before we take a closer look at everything that the Ariel Rider Grizzly has to offer, I just want to ask everyone out there to do us a couple quick favors. If you are looking to purchase any Ariel Rider of your own, please consider using the link down in the description. All purchases made through those links help directly support Ebike Escape, help us continue to make content like this. Also linked down in the description, we'll have not a link to my cat who keeps trying to distract me, a link to our e-bike accessories list, top e-bikes brands page, and e-bikes discount codes page, where we keep track of all the deals on the electric bike brands that we follow. It's a good place to check. We keep it pretty updated. Ariel Rider is a brand that we find on there pretty frequently, offering minor discounts on some of their bikes from time to time, but it's also a place to check if you're maybe looking for another e-moped style electric bike and trying to save a little bit of money. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into the review. Before we take a close look at the Grizzly, let's talk about Ariel Rider as a brand. Ariel Rider is a brand that makes some really high-powered, high-fun e-bikes, not just the Grizzly you see here. If you're looking for a moped-style e-bike, they also offer the X-Class, which is a single-motor, full-suspension e-moped-style e-bike. And that frame is also offered in a step-through design and in a slew of colors, which is really cool to see. But if you're not in the mood for an e-moped style e-bike, they also make the Kepler, which is probably one of the highest powered fat tire e-bikes that we know that is out on the market. Now, if you can catch it in stock, it is a great e-bike. We're really hoping to get a review out of that bike later this year. If that is something you would like to see, be sure to drop a like on this video. It shows Ariel Rider and us that that's definitely something you want to see and that you want to see more content from them and us. But enough of the overview, let's talk about the Grizzly. The Grizzly here, as it's seen, comes in at a cost of $32.99. Now you can find this bike occasionally on sale, but even at $32.99, considering that you get dual motors, dual batteries, dual suspension, it is definitely a great deal and is probably one of the funnest e-bikes I've gotten a chance to ride here at Ebike Escape. We chose to get the Ariel Rider in this really nice black and blue color, but it is also offered in a red and yellow. So if those colors fit you a little better than this kind of darker, quieter blue, those are some great options for you. But with all of that background information out of the way, let's take a closer look at the Grizzly. Starting up here at the front, you'll notice we have a 20 by 4 inch CST tire, complete with reflective sidewall. Now these CST tires are listed as being puncture resistant, but being that this is a dual motor e-bike, we do recommend running a tire liner, and some of our favorites are Tannis tire liners. And with that said, Tannis is the sponsor of today's video, so let's throw it to them for a quick message.
This video is sponsored by Tannis. We're really excited to have Tannis as our first sponsor here at Ebike Escape. Getting flats on an e-bike can be especially difficult to fix, so why not help prevent them in the first place? Tannis Armor inserts are inserts that go inside your tire, providing 15 millimeters of protection at the base and 2 millimeters of protection on the sidewalls.
Tannis makes purchasing the liners super simple. Simply go to their website, type in your tire size, it spits out the liners you need. Don't forget the tubes. Then you can either install them at home by yourself or take them to your local trusted bike shop. While we do know there are many e-bike manufacturers that offer Tannis tire liners on their website, if you go directly to Tannis's website, we have negotiated a discount code for Ebike Escape viewers. Discount code can be found in the description below.
Thanks to Tannis for sponsoring this video.
While we're up here in the front, you'll notice we have Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. Really happy to see hydraulic disc brakes offered on a bike that is this powerful. That hydraulic disc brake is paired to a 180 millimeter front rotor. Right above the tire, you'll see we have a plastic front fender. Now this fender is not a full coverage fender, so you do still get some spray across the frame if you're, say, riding in rain or in spring melt like we are here in Wisconsin. But they do provide some protection and keep you at least a little bit clean. Coming around to the other side, let's take a look at this motor. So this is a custom made for Ariel Rider by Bafang motor. Again, this is a 1,000-watt motor. It is bolted on up here as you cannot run a quick release. And if you'll notice down here at the bottom, there is a torque arm. There is a torque arm on both sides. Really happy to see torque arms on this bike, especially with as powerful as it is. Some other dual motor e-bikes that we've ridden in the past, we had to constantly check the wheel bolts to make sure that the front wheel wasn't coming off on us. So having those torque arms is really going to keep the torque in check and stop those bolts from coming loose. Working our way up here, you notice we have this inverted motorcycle style front fork. It is a dual crown front fork, meaning it connects at the bottom and the top of the head tube here. And on the top, you'll notice we also have a adjustment knob so you can kind of dial in the suspension. I'll go ahead and push on that in just a second. While we're up here, I have to call out this really nice and really bright LED front headlight. You notice the Ariel Rider branding there. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on for you, but I don't know if it's gonna do it justice here in the daylight. Here's a look at it on. Like I said, it's really not going to do it justice, but this is probably one of the brightest and one of the nicest headlights we've seen on e-bikes. Now, it does not flash, but if you wanted to have a little bit of extra visibility during the day, we always recommend a handlebar mounted headlight. And looking at the handlebars here, you actually have this extra bar where you can mount them so they're not really in your way. Just provides a little bit of extra visibility to other motorists on the road. All right, let me go ahead and give this front suspension a fork so you know what to expect. All right, while we're here, I am gonna go ahead and jump on the bike and give you guys an idea of what to expect from the rear and the front. We'll talk a little bit more about the rear shocks in a little bit. They do have some adjustment in them as well. All right, so hopping on, you have a pretty cushy rear. You have dual shocks in the rear, and it's really nice to have those. It's really nice and cushy. The little bit of riding I have done on this bike, I really enjoyed how it felt. And then in the front, you can see that we have a good amount of dampening as well. I have no complaints after riding this e-bike at what the suspension is capable of. It was really cush. It was a lot nicer than some of the other hardtails or other e-bikes that we've ridden. Working our way up, you see we have these really chopperish style inspired handlebars. Now these are pretty nice. It does go to a standard stem, so if you wanted to say change them out because they're not your style. But one thing that stem also allows you to do is you can loosen the bolts and you can really change the angle of these to really adjust the cockpit to fit you a lot better. Or up here, let's talk about the cable management. They are nicely wrapped. They come all the way down here from 2 into 1, and then they go down and disappear into the side of the down tube here. But then coming up here to the cockpit, here's a look at the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. We have some Ariel Rider faux leather grips here. These do feel pretty nice and they are a little ergonomic. They have a bump here as well as the wrist rest. We have a fairly basic control here. It has a plus minus memory and power. And then down here, if you are familiar with dual motor e-bikes, you'll recognize this. This is a switch that allows you to pick between front motor, rear motor, or both motors if you leave it there in the middle. Also have a bell. We have this LED color display here. This is a really nice display. It gives you all the information right front centered on you. We'll go into that a little bit more in a minute. We have our 7-speed cis index thumb shifter, matching tetrahydraulic lever. And then we also have a twist grip throttle and a matching faux leather grip. But hidden down here, we have this little red button. So this little red button actually allows you to turn on and off the throttle, which is a nice feature considering how powerful this bike is and really just allows you to get on with a little bit more comfort. You don't have to worry about accidentally twisting the throttle and having the bike take off. One thing we love and don't love about these displays is that in direct sunlight, these LED color displays can be difficult to see. This one is probably about average, but if you're wearing, say, polarized sunglasses or trying to film in sunlight, it is a little difficult. So starting up here in the upper left, you have a time, which is not correct. I have not adjusted that yet. You have a battery percentage. You have a miles per hour gauge. Then you have a amp amount there for how many amps the controller is putting out, as well as a wattage bar here. And then that number right there where it says 1 is your pedal assist, so you know what pedal assist you're in. And currently it is set to 1 to 5. You can adjust that in the advanced settings, as well as you can adjust where it says amps, you can change what is shown there. Coming down here to the bottom, we have a trip meter and current time that the bike has been on, and you can cycle through those by pushing the M button here. We're gonna go ahead and do that. The left changes to your total odometer, your range, estimated range. I believe that's based upon what pedal assist you're in, as well as time on the right, max speed. There's a little bit of a teaser for what max speed we're able to achieve on this bike. And we have our average speed, so what the average speed that you're putting out on this bike. And to turn on the headlights, you will simply hold the plus and you will notice a headlight appear and the screen will dim up here in the upper left-hand corner. And then if you hold the down button, it is walk mode. Make sure you're doing that cautiously as the bike will try and get away from you then. Go ahead and turn off the headlights so we can see a little bit better. And then if you double tap the memory button, you'll get into the advanced settings, or really some just other settings you want. So here starting at the top here, you have what language the bike is currently in. You can change the system from imperial or metric, the brightness of the display, how long until the bike turns off. You have the scenes, which you can change, I believe, just the style of the gauges, battery indicator for percentage, or I believe you can also change that to voltage, off, voltage, or percentage. Yep, just like I thought. The power indicator. So I currently have it set to current, but you can have that changed to power. I believe that's how many watts you're putting out, or current. So I have it set to current just to see what type of current it's drawing from the controllers. Then we have a clock, and being that this is a e-moped style bike or a bike that you may commute on, you can actually set a starting password so that you are required a password to start the bike. I'm gonna go down here to the 3 dots and push the memory button again. Here's where you would change the wheel size, what voltage the batteries are, whether this USB port, which is tucked nicely on the bottom of the display here, is turned on. So if you wanted to say charge a device, nice to see, you can turn that on and off. There is also a light sensor in here. So you can have the headlight and stuff automatically turn on. Very nice to see. Then you have your advanced settings, factory settings, and information. So let's go ahead and go into the factory settings, which is basically restore back to factory. So if you say change the wheel size or whatever, you can change that back. Information, this is your just kind of a summary of all the information offered before, your odometer, trip, range, a whole lot of things you can kind of geek out in here. And then we have the advanced settings. So you click into, you go to input password. Password is 1919. And here you have the speed limit. You have the assist levels where you can change how many assist levels you have. 9. I'm not sure what OOB is, but I just left it set to 5. And then you have air codes. So if there's any air codes that the bike is displaying from the controllers, you can read those here. But the thing that everybody wants to see is the speed limit. So when this bike comes shipped to you, it is set to 20 miles per hour max speed on throttle or pedal assist, as the bike does come shipped as a class 2 electric bike. But if you wanted to say make it a class 3 electric bike, you can turn that up to 28. Or if you're on a closed road or a private road and at your own understanding of your local laws and regulations, you can override it to say 99 and treat this like a little motorcycle. Again, something we recommend you follow all local laws and regulations for. And then if you let it sit for a little bit of time, it'll actually jump you out of all the settings and back to the main screen. This is a very robust display, and having the color on it is really nice. And the light sensor is a very nice touch as well. This is a standard Bafang display we've seen on some other bikes, but Ariel Rider has put their twists on it by having their branding put on there. Really nice display again. Coming down to the down tube, you'll notice some of the blue accents on the front fork, as well as the Ariel Rider name here is written in blue. And it is also written in blue on the battery. So this is your front battery, and this is your rear battery. So this front battery is a 15 amp hour battery, and this rear battery here is a 20 amp hour battery. So combined, that is a 35 amp hour total battery capacity. I'll go ahead and pull those both out for you here in a little bit, but that's just a good overview of them. And also one thing to note, the Ariel Rider Grizzly comes with a 5 amp hour charger. That is awesome. We're super happy to see that powerful of a charge, especially when you have 35 amps of battery power to recharge. Having that fast of a charger allows you to charge them so much quicker, and is just a nice creature comfort to have, that you'll be able to recharge this front battery in about 3 hours and this rear battery in about 4, versus some other 2 or 3 amp chargers where it would take you, 10, 12 hours to charge these 2 batteries. And then coming down here, we have the standard metal Wellgo pedals. If you're looking for any recommendations on another pedal to say replace this one, maybe something with a little bit more style, blue might we recommend. Please check out our e-bike accessories list. It's a great page where we keep a lot of the up-to-date information on things that we use almost every day. And then coming down here, you'll see we have the Grizzly written here on this rear chainstay bar. Nice to see you got some claw marks on the one side going down. Moving over from the Grizzly riding, you'll notice the kickstand here. It's a pretty standard kickstand that we've seen. One thing to note about this kickstand on the Grizzly e-bike is that it doesn't provide too much of a lean to the bike. We would like to see maybe a little bit shorter of a kickstand. Just be mindful of where you set it, as the bike is pretty close to tipping, but it is a large footed kickstand, so you really don't have to worry about it sinking in or falling over. Also comes pre-equipped are these rear pegs. Now with the rear pegs, you will notice this is not the factory seat that comes on the bike. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But there is an option for a passenger package that fits the stock seat. So it comes pre-installed with pegs. Here's a look at the rear matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake and 180 millimeter rear rotor, as well as a matching 1000 watt custom made for Ariel Rider by Bafang motor. And you will notice too, We have another torque arm here. Again, like we said, always really nice to see torque arms on here. Above the rear tire here, we have another plastic fender. And then getting a better look at the tire, this is the same 20x4 inch CST tire as the front. And I wanted to come around to this side so we could talk about the shock. So as you see, there are two shocks, one on each side. These are spring shocks, and you do have these two knobs where you can adjust the spring tension. But as well as up here on the top, you'll notice this little air valve. So this valve allows you to add and subtract air pressure, which is really common on mountain bikes and other bikes like on front forks that you'll see. So you do need a shock pump to adjust this. You cannot use a bike pump or just your standard car pump to put in air, but that allows you to actually control the dampening. You really want to set that to your rider's weight. But that is something you can just kind of do once and then forget about. And then you can also get some little spanner wrenches to maybe adjust the spring tension. If you've noticed that maybe this rear fender is coming in contact with the tire or something like that as you're hitting some large bumps. And then you'll notice we have a derailleur guard protecting the Shimano Altus derailleur. This is a pretty standard derailleur we see on a lot of e-bikes. You have your little adjuster back here if you need to dial in the shifting a little bit. And we found that this derailleur is pretty adequate for standard riding. And realistically, how much gear shifting are you going to be doing on this powerful of an e-bike? But it is nice that they added it in case you did want to pedal a little bit. And then tucked behind the derailleur here, we have this 7-speed 14 to 34 mega range Shimano freewheel. Really would have liked to see an 11 to 34, maybe an 11 to 32 rear freewheel on this bike so that you'd be able to maybe provide a little bit more power with the speeds that this bike is capable of. But we're happy to see a name brand component back here. And then working our way up the drivetrain here, we have a 52-tooth front chainring that is also protected by a double wall chain guard. And then coming up to the seat. Now this is not the factory seat that comes on the Ariel Rider Grizzly. This is a custom seat from JB Seats. There you can find his Instagram page. We are really happy about this seat. What it provided was a little bit of style, but as well as it adds that rear passenger section so we could ride with, say, 2 people on this. This is the factory seat that comes on the Ariel Rider Grizzly. And as you can see, set this over top here, it has a little bit of a missing section here on the rear. Ariel Rider sells a rear passenger seat cushion, but it was currently sold out. So we decided to go ahead and search for somebody out there that was making a custom seat. One thing to note is that this Ariel Rider factory seat has this gridded bottom, whereas this custom seat has a solid wood bottom. And what I noticed when I was riding it is that the controllers are mounted right about here. They provide a little bit extra heat, and I could really feel that through the seat. Now I was doing a little bit more throttle than normal, and I'm a little bit of a heavier rider, but I did notice that extra heat coming through the seat. So just some things to keep in mind. There is a trade-off to this little bit extra style. We really like it, and it provides a little bit of extra seat for our passengers. Now, while we're talking about seat, we have to talk about the seating and pedal position of any moped-style bike. There is no height adjustment in the seat, so if you are a shorter rider like myself, you may find yourself having to sit more on the front of this seat to be able to get full leg extension and pedaling, so it does not feel like a normal bike. As well as if you are a taller rider like Ryan, you may find yourself having to sit further back on the seat and you'll be pedaling more forward. Now, the trade-off being is that you get a stylish e-bike and they are a lot of fun to ride. I still, even though it is not the most comfortable for me to ride because of my pedaling position, I have a blast riding these bikes and I will continue to ride moped-style e-bikes. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the batteries. So let's start at the rear here. So this is a integrated rear brake light. It is built into the battery. It is a functioning brake light. Speaking of brakes, I realized I forgot to mention before, these do have motor cutoffs. These are textural hydraulic e-bike specific brakes. So as soon as you pull that brake lever, you are going to cut motor power. And you also notice here on the screen, you have a little caution symbol that pulls up in the upper right-hand corner, and that's going to cut motor power, which is really nice, especially on something this powerful. But just something to note, I realized I forgot to call that out before. So going back to the rear taillight here, with the bike on, if you pull, it is a functioning brake light. Again, a little hard to see, but it is a pretty nice bright taillight. It does not do anything when you are not pulling the brakes, so it may be worth trying to find a way to mount a flashing rear bike light on this. But let's go ahead and pull this battery out so you can get a closer look, and we will pull out this front battery as well. I realized I said we're going to start at the rear. We're going to go ahead and start up here at the front. All the key spots are on the other side of the bike, but this is the better side for the lighting. So you do have 2 sets of keys, one for the front battery, one for the rear. They do have these number tags on them as well as numbers engraved in the keys themselves, so you can help match them up that way. Go ahead and pull out this front one. Match up my key. You don't want to twist the wrong key off in the lock I was a valet driver for a long time, and you'd be surprised how frequently that happens with some people when they're in a rush. You twist the key towards the front of the bike and you slide the battery up to get it off. So on the side of the battery here, you'll notice you have a power switch. You want to make sure that that line is down to make sure you have the power on. As well as inside here, you can see this is a 52 volt, 15 amp hour battery. That's going to be really hard to see on camera. There's actually the specs on the bottom there. And like I said, we have Ariel Rider branding on the side, BBG battery, and then on the top here, we have a push button 4 LED display. So you can see how much power is actually in the battery itself. Go ahead and slide to put it back on. Simply set it over the track and push down, and then you twist the key towards the back of the bike to lock in the locking pin, and that battery is installed and on. And this has the charge port on the side here. Again, these batteries can be charged on or off the bike. Go ahead and pull out the rear one. To get the rear battery out, you're going to put the keys in on the driver's side, twist the keys towards the front of the bike as well to unlock it. I'm going to go ahead and move you guys around here so you can see. And then there's a handle down here that you will grab and pull the battery out, and it slides all the way out. Now there are some tracks here on the bottom that the battery slides onto, as well as you can kind of look at it in here when you have the battery out. You simply slide it along that track. It makes it really easy to get it in and off. On the bottom here, we have a red on off switch. Again, make sure when you put the batteries in that you have both of them on. That way you get the full 35 amp hours. The rear brake light will work whether that switch is on or off. Ask me how I know. And again, like we said, this is a 20 amp hour, both 52 volts. And then here's a look at the tag on that. It is a 1040 watt hour battery. And then on the side here, we have a 3 LED display. And if you switch the switch off, those lights do not illuminate. That's a quick way that I've found to check myself. And then on the other side of the switch, you have your charging port charged on or off the battery with that really nice and included 5 amp hour battery charger. So, and to get it on, line it up on the track, slide it all the way up to the front until it clicks on, and then you twist the keys towards the back of the bike to lock it in, and the keys come out. The keys do not have to be in either one of the batteries for the bike to run. So with all of that out of the way, I think that is pretty much a good close-up look at all of the specs and features of the Ariel Rider Grizzly. Let's get to the thing that everybody wants to see, which is the riding footage of this e-bike. I'm gonna go ahead and get geared up, hop on this bike, and show you what this thing is capable of. All right, here is the section I know everyone wants to see, the throttle only test, see what this Grizzly is capable of. I have high hopes for those 2,000 watt nominal motors, as well as the 35 amp hours of battery. The controllers in this bike, I believe, are also somewhere in the 30 amp range per controller. So each motor is capable of pulling that. To do this test, we do have it overridden. Remember to do so at your own accord, and make sure you follow all local laws and regulations where you are riding this bike at. So the road we're gonna ride it on here has a little bit of a hill down there. So the bike may slow down just a little bit, but after it gets past that, it flattens out for a little bit, and this bike is just gonna take off. Really interested to see what top speed I can get. Hoping for somewhere close to 40 miles an hour or have that expectation out of it. It is a very powerful e-bike. Yeah, so in order to do that test, like I said, it is overridden. And also I have my switch here in the middle. So you can pick, like I said before, between front and rear motors. I'm gonna put it in the middle, so it's using both motors. And I'm gonna use throttle only, make sure the throttle is on. As of right now, with the button out, the throttle is dead. And now with the motor on, you can throttle it. The bike will try and take off on you. Also a note about this bike, if you are in zero, even if you're in pedal assist zero, you do have access to the throttle. So something to be very cautious of. And I believe even if you use the throttle in no matter what pedal assist you're in, you get full amperage out of it. So you get full power out of the throttle at all times. The pedal assist just limits your pedaling. So, all right, with all of that out of the way, hopefully you can see this display here, as well as I have my cell phone mounted down here with a iPhone speed app. So maybe that's a little bit better for you guys to be able to see. We found the GPS to be a little bit better and sometimes more accurate than the displays. So let's see how accurate this one is. All right, we're gonna do throttle only in 3, 2, 1. Yep, there you go. There's that front motor taking off. Again, this is a bike that you definitely should not ride as your first e-bike. It is extremely fast and capable. So you see the Ariel Rider display is reading about 37 miles an hour, and my display says about 34, 35 miles an hour. But if you also notice, the amperage the motors is pulling, I don't know if you can see the amp meter there. It says it's pulling about 55 watts, 58 watts, or amps, I'm sorry, correction, amps, and up 59 amps. It peaked there for a sec. Going uphill, so it's down to about 30, but man, this bike is hauling. It got up here quick. Also worth noting, I had both batteries charged as much as possible, and I rode it a very short distance before I came out for this test. So, man, 35 miles an hour with ease, and it's just holding me there. 36. Can we go any faster? We got a stop sign coming up, 35. All right, we're gonna go and slow down. And that, everybody, is the top speed of the Grizzly with a rider at my weight. So I weigh about 220 pounds, sometimes up to about 225 pounds when I'm in winter mode, like I am now. Ryan is about 145 pounds, so him on this bike would be able to really go. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it around and see if we can get that same speed going back. This bike is just so much fun and so capable. Again, not really a bike meant for pedaling, as it is a moped style, but man, is it fun. It really fits into a gray area and really what you're comfortable with riding. But here we go. We're going back in a little bit more into the wind this time, but still 33 miles an hour. And again, not pedaling at all. And this is a little uphill. Both motors pulling about 50 amps. There we go. And now we're going downhill a little bit. We got a little bit of a downhill and then it levels out. There we go, 38 again. Like I said, slight downhill here. So really not showing you what it's capable of, but man, is this bike fast. Let's see if it can hold that. 37, yeah, 37 miles an hour, 36, okay. So yeah, like I said, 35 miles an hour is probably about the top speed of this bike. Again, with a rider, my weight on it. Oh, all right, so let's go ahead and we are going to go drive down the road. We're gonna go into a neighborhood and show you what this bike is capable of in every pedal assist level. All right, here we are at the neighborhood that I like to do my pedal testing in. For this pedal test, I am gonna do a single motor mode. And I am also going to turn off the throttle, so I do not have access to it. So we don't need that. We're gonna start in pedal assist level 1. And I'm gonna pay attention to the amp meter here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I will call it out as we go, because pedal assist, you're gonna be limited by amps and speed, I believe. But now that we have the speed unlocked, it's probably just going to be amps. So I will call out what amps you get. And note, if you put this in dual motor mode, that amperage will actually double, because it's going to give you the same amperage to each motor. But what it'll display there is gonna be double the amperage. I'm gonna, like I said, leave this in single amp, and I will show you that maybe once we pop out onto the main road, show you what we're capable of getting in pedal assist level 5. All right, so we are gonna start out. I'm gonna downshift a little bit as I am in 7. All right, there we go. I was in the smallest gear. There we go. So just that nice leisurely cadence in, we're in 3rd, maybe 4th here. And I mean, I am barely providing any power, almost ghost pedaling per se. And we are at that 8.5, let's see, 8.5 amps. I believe I saw, yeah, about 8.5 amps there is what the most I've seen it put out. And we were at about 18 miles an hour. So the bike's not gonna draw as many amps now that I'm actually up to speed. So let's see if I can just go ahead and turn down the amount of effort I'm putting in to see what it is capable of supplying. Yeah, 8.5, there we go, 9 amps. I know that's the max for pedal assist level 1. So go ahead and pop it into pedal assist level 2. Here we go. I didn't really feel the motor kick up there, but it definitely is giving us more amps. We're at about 12 amps is the most I've seen, which that seems about right, 12 amps. I'm gonna go ahead and shift up a little bit here. There we go, we're gonna go into pedal assist level 3. Now we're at about 15 amps. Let's see, yeah, it's about 14, 15 amps there. Yeah, this is a nice, again, the cadence doesn't really matter. This bike, I'm at 20 miles an hour in pedal assist level 3, barely providing any power. This bike is extremely capable. Slow down for this curve. Roads are still a little sandy here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go into pedal assist level 4. And we're at about 18 and a half. Let's see, what do we got? 19 amps. We're going to a 23, 24 miles an hour. Woof. Man, this bike, if we hadn't already said it enough, is quite capable and quite a beast, as I guess that Grizzly name really gives you the hint at. All right, so here we go. Going up a little bit hill. Yeah, so pedal assist 4 is limited to about 19 amps. And then now we go into pedal assist level 5, and we immediately jump up to about 23 amps. Let's see, it should be, I believe 25 amps is the max for this pedal assist. Oh, we're just hitting about 23 amps. There we go. 23 and a half, 24. Yeah, 25 amps is the max there. And I'm not at a comfortable cadence there. There we go. Let's go ahead and slow down for this curve. What did the GPS app say there? 28? Hello. So yeah, this bike is very capable. Again, like I said, pedal assist level 5, 24. Oh man. Slow down again for this turn. Moto style, put down the foot. There we go. 27, 24, 26, 27. Yeah, this bike Man, so much fun. It is basically a little moped. There's no denying that. This is the most ultimate moped style e-bike you could get. Whew. You get quite the looks on this black and blue bike, let me tell you. All right, here we go. A little bit of a straight section. Let's see what amps we can get out there. 22, 23, 24. I'm giving it quite the amount of power. One thing I do wish Ariel Rider had done, and I had mentioned it in the walk around, is that the rear gear on this bike is the smallest tooth is a 14 tooth. I wish it would have been an 11 tooth. Be able to provide yourself a little bit more power there at the top end. But this bike is still completely capable even with that. And most people that buy this bike are probably not gonna be doing a lot of pedaling. Oh, catch my breath while trying to keep up that cadence. All right, so one thing to note too, the pedaling position. I was pretty far forward and I didn't find it super uncomfortable to pedal. My leg extension and height probably contributed to that not being as uncomfortable. Although if you notice here when I'm stopped, I am on my tippy toes to try and keep the bike up just because this top tube and the seat height, it is right on the range for me. I have about a 28 to 29 inch inseam. So keep that in mind, I'm a 5'8" with a 29 inch inseam. All right, let's go ahead and throw it back over to my hill climb test so you can see what this bike is capable of in a hill climb portion. This thing is gonna crush it. Here we are at the hill climb test. You will note this is not the same hill that we test all the e-bikes on, but it is a hill that has a similar gradient and is also a steep hill. So the first test I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do throttle only up this hill. The bike has about 94% in the batteries, which is pretty good. And I'm gonna do throttle only. I'm not gonna go through the pedal assist because it doesn't really matter. When you use the throttle on this bike, it just bypasses any limit that the pedal assist would give you and gives you full amperage. So I'm just gonna go full out I'm just gonna put it in pedal assist 5 and just use throttle only to get up this hill. Again, we're in dual motor mode for these tests and the pedal test. I'm gonna be in dual motor mode. So that way we can see what the bike is capable of, what the minimum speed is gonna be. This bike is gonna crush this test. I mean, there is nothing about this bike that is going to slow it down from making it up this hill. It is gonna climb it right up it. So we're gonna go ahead and give it throttle. You're gonna notice the front tire kick if you didn't before. As I pull off here, it's still a little sandy on the roadways. So I'm gonna go ahead and let go of the brakes and take off, and we'll see what the minimum speed is up our hill. Also, I will put the specs for the hill on the screen now so you know what type of hill I am climbing up here. All right, here we go. Throttle only. Again, bike is pulling about 58 amps, and we're at about 32 miles an hour right now. 33. 34 miles an hour. 33 here. Let's see what our minimum speed is up this hill. 31, 30 miles an hour. Yep, 31, 29. 30, there we go. So it looks like it's sticking right about 30 miles an hour. I mean, and it didn't, 28. Okay, there we go. Low is 28. We're gonna see 27, nope. And the hill is done and we are just gonna start taking off again. 32, again, we're gonna hit that top speed of about 35 miles an hour without even batting an eye. This bike is just extremely powerful. It's gonna crush any hill you can throw at it. The only thing you do have to be mindful of is if you are like us and you have these aftermarket seat, I can already feel the heat from those controllers, from the power that's pumping through, starting to warm the seat a little bit. So you may want to be mindful if you get an aftermarket seat. Let's go ahead and start in pedal assist 1. Not going to give myself any throttle to start out here. Just going to go ahead and start pedaling into it. I'm going to try and keep this at a little bit of a slower cadence. So yeah, probably about here. Feels pretty normal. All of these are in speed number 7 on the shifter. So there we go. Pedal assist 1. Motor's giving us about 10 amps and we're at about 18 miles an hour. And like I said, again, this is in pedal assist level 1. Let's go ahead and turn it up to pedal assist level 2. Feel that kick in a little bit more right away. There we go. Hill is starting out. It's kind of a multi-level hill here. So we're at about, I don't know, 20 miles an hour in pedal assist level 2. 21, there we go. Just kicked it up. I was watching the speedometer there. 22 miles an hour. 23, 24. Hill's really starting out now. Going up the steeper part, so we're about 23, going up to 4, You feel it kick on a little bit more. I'm watching the amp meter here to see what it's pulling amp-wise, about 37. Now we're gonna go into pedal assist 5. You really feel a kick up there with pedal assist level 5. I mean, we're still at 21, but you could feel it at 22 there. We got 23. Hill's leveling off a little bit, so 22, 23 and pedal assist level 5. And there we go. Once we get to the top now, we get full power, 42, 44. And at 36 miles an hour. Man, this bike is fun. I'm really having a lot of fun riding this bike. Thank you to Ariel Rider for sending this out for us to review. And we're gonna bring this bike to a stop. And let's go ahead and throw us to some third-person riding footage and give you our concluding thoughts on this beast of a bike, the Ariel Rider Grizzly. The Ariel Rider Grizzly operates in a class all on its own. From the speed and traction to the fun styling and dual suspension setup, the Grizzly, pardon the dad joke, is a beast. Let's start with the price, which to some might also be considered a beast, but let's consider what you're getting for a second. Ariel Rider has taken a standard e-bike for all intensive purposes and doubled it, giving you dual motors, dual batteries, and dual suspension. With all of that in mind, the $32.99 price tag seems a bit more reasonable. However, if you like the styling of the Grizzly but not the price, Ariel Rider also offers the X-Class, a single motor, single battery e-bike for about $1,000 less. Now let's talk about the fun stuff, the speed and acceleration. To achieve these, the Grizzly uses a 52-volt electrical system paired to not one, but two custom-tuned 1,000-watt, 1,850-watt peak Bafang hub motors. When these motors were working together, they were capable of carrying me, a 225-pound rider, to a top speed of about 36 miles per hour. Remember, overriding the top speed from the 20 miles per hour it comes set at from Ariel Rider certainly changes the classification, so be sure to check all local laws and regulations where you live and ride responsibly. The Grizzly's dual suspension has adjustability both front and rear and can be dialed in to handle most terrains. Add that to the 35 amp hours of battery capacity and you can go on quite an adventure. Ariel Rider estimates the range at about 75 miles, but be aware the more you use the throttle or the dual motors, the less range you're going to get. One other thing we were happy to see was the 5 amp hour charger. This will allow you to completely recharge both batteries in about 7 hours versus the 17 plus hours it would take with a standard 2 amp charger that we typically see. Rounding out the specs, we were happy to see strong Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, a bright LED moto style headlight, and a color LCD display complete with an automatic light sensor. Now, with doubling all those fun categories, there's a bit of a weight penalty that comes from that. The Grizzly tips the scales at a mere 108 pounds with batteries. So keep that in mind if you plan to bring the Grizzly upstairs for storage or plan to haul it on a bike rack. Like most moped style e-bikes, your overall ability to pedal and comfort while doing so is not just a simple adjustment of the seat height. Not a negative, but rather something that is common on any e-moped style e-bike, and really, if you're considering the Grizzly, how much pedaling are you going to be doing? On the same subject of pedaling, we would have loved to see an 11 to 32 tooth rear freewheel instead of the 14 to 32 tooth, but we think we might be a little bit of outliers here, and thinking that those extra 3 teeth will really make that much of a difference when you're mostly going to be using the throttle. If you're looking for a transportation replacement or someone that just really likes fast toys, the Ariel Rider Grizzly is for you. We had a blast riding the Grizzly and we'll be keeping it in our fleet for the distant future. Let us know in the comments below if we should review the Ariel Rider Kepler, a 1,000-watt fat tire e-bike that's been catching our eye for quite some time. And if we helped you decide to buy a Grizzly or any Ariel Rider model, please consider using our links down in the description. All purchases made after clicking those links help support the channel. And again, shout out to JB Seats for the custom saddle. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.